Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before I get into it with our guest here today, well, first of all, you should recognize our guest if you're a longtime listener. We have Laurie back on the podcast to, give us an update on what she's been up to since we last talked. And I mean, with COVID and everything like that, geez, this last year really feels like it's been about 10 years. So we have a lot to get into. But most importantly, Laurie, thank you so much for coming back on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, absolutely. Well, I got to ask this because I ask this every damn time. What is the weather like today in your neck of the woods?
It's brutally hot today. It's maybe over 90. I don't know, maybe 90, but it's like 120% humidity.
Oh my God. Yeah. We are
Yeah.
in the mid 90s here too as well. And we have the heat index is going to be 105, they said tomorrow. So I am not looking forward to that, but I'll just probably be inside anyway. So yeah, we are getting into the dog days of summer. And I just cannot wait for that to get over with. But before we depress everyone talking about the dog days of summer, what have you been up to really since we last talked? I mean, it's been 9 months. And I know you've retired from the sport of bodybuilding. I don't want to give any spoilers away to anyone or anything like that. But what has this whole last year been like for you?
I mean, I've just been, I've been not hitting it as hard, obviously. I mean, I don't kill myself in the gym, but I'm still going 5 to 6 times a week and, limiting cardio. And I mean, I'm just enjoying being able to eat what I want, but have some limitations, right? I'm not trying to go off the rails or whatever, but it's been fun. I can't really complain.
How's the body been responding to actually being able to actually, like you said, eat kind of whatever you want and not going as much? Has it been a lot more relaxing, you'd think?
It's definitely more relaxing, less stressful, but I've been just in the last couple of months trying to rein it in a little bit because I noticed that I'm over 50, so I don't want to look like a busted out can of biscuits, right? So I'm trying to rein it in a little bit. I've got a vacation plan. I'm leaving on Saturday, and I have a bunch of bikinis I want to fit into. So just trying to cut that meal thing back a little bit.
You're gonna have to do the cardio then, I guess, for the next couple of days. And wish you, the best, the best of luck on that. And what is one food that you think that you've been enjoying the most since you've been able to, get away with eating a little bit more now?
Um, I think that the thing I've been enjoying the most are Blue Bunny ice cream cones. The little ones, like this big.
Oh, the little. I was gonna say I'm literally going to Dairy Queen right after I'm done talking to you because I have a little bit of a headache, and those cookie dough blizzards are the absolute best headache cure for
Oh
me.
man,
So
I think the Heath Bar ones are the best.
oh, I mean, you're talking anything with ice cream. Like one day, my roommate brought home some vanilla ice cream, and I just said, "You just made the worst mistake of your life because like that's gonna be gone in like 2 days, just because of me."
Just
And then
plain vanilla.
just
I
plain
mean,
any type of ice cream for me, really. I mean, you could have any flavor really, and it's ice cream for me. So
you're not discriminating.
no. I mean, I
No.
prefer chocolate as my favorite, but yeah, if it's vanilla, yeah, I'll have it too. And then when I was a kid, there was this ice cream place right by our house where it was called Superman flavor, but it was just vanilla with tie-dye colors, basically, that they just put in tie-dye like food coloring or whatever. So
Oh, sure.
that's
Have
what
you ever had Cherry Garcia? That's really my favorite.
I like that too. Yes,
That's so good.
that is very good. They have a pumpkin pie flavor that I'm more partial to, but I just because pumpkin pie is my favorite pie, but I haven't had any of that yet.
You kind of feel like you have to limit that one to the holidays, I think.
Well,
Right?
well, yeah, but like with pumpkin pie, I'll eat that any time of the year. Like with the ice cream flavor, though, I totally get that too. Where like if like Dairy Queen comes up with their pumpkin pie, shake or anything like that, then I'll wait until like October to have that in November. But I mean, for my birthday, I mean, I always just tell everyone just bring a pumpkin pie instead of a cake. That's really.
So when is your birthday?
I had it 2 weeks ago, so I'm
Oh, happy
27,
birthday.
27 now. Jesus.
Okay, happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't able to do. Well, we did go to the Twins game last weekend, so that's how I celebrated.
Wait, so how old are you?
27.
Oh, 27.
Yeah.
Wow. You're just a baby.
Oh.
I'm freaking twice your age, Ryan.
Hey, I
You can't help it.
well,
It's
and
not
when
your
my
fault.
mom is 4 days after me, and she turned 58, I think it was. So yeah, we went out and celebrated with that too. But yeah, it's
Does
been
58 seem like old to you?
um It depends on, like, if you take care of yourself or not. So, like, if you're, like,
Yeah.
someone who does yeah, but, like, also, my mom is, like, 5 feet tall, and I'm 6'3", so, like, it's yeah.
Oh.
Well, I even told mom, I was like, "There's no way that you gave birth to me. Like, there's no way." And then she goes, "Yeah, it is." So, I get all my height from my
That happened.
well, and the thing is, my dad's like 5'9" too. So my grandpas were the ones that were like 6 feet tall. So I must have gotten my height from them. But yeah. So no, 58's not that old. I mean, I've had people on this podcast that are 70 years old, and even some of
Oh.
them are looking like you're like, okay, that's you look like you're like 30 years younger now. But yeah, that is just insane. And how has your mindset changed though too as you go into this retirement phase where you don't, like you said, you don't have to worry about all this stuff that you really had to worry about in prep? Has it been good for you, or has it been something where you just kind of look back and you're like, oh, I miss it a little bit? Because that was kind of like with me of baseball, where I obsessed so much about the sport, but like as soon as I was gone, I thought that like I would just be like, oh, everything's gonna be so much better, and then like 2 months later, I was like, oh my god, I already miss it already.
Yeah, I definitely was missing it a lot, and then I'm just one of those people that has to have kind of a goal. And without that, I just kind of, wandered around in the gym, like, what am I going to do today or whatever. And then, starting right in the beginning of the spring, I see a lot of posts on Instagram, people in prep and, you know, pictures of where they were at this time last year. And I'm like, oh, I really miss it now, like I yearn for that kind of leanness and stuff. So that really was triggering, I think, for me.
Just remember that hour and a half of cardio or whatever it was. That's the one thing for me where I just think about that and I'm like, it's for the
Yeah.
best. It's for the best. No, but I totally get that. I mean, even still now to these days, whenever I drive past a baseball field, I was like, oh, I just want to get out there right now. So yeah, it's tough, but I mean,
It is,
the,
yeah.
yeah, like and especially like with social media, with everyone always on and making posts about stuff. Yeah, I bet it can be. But where have you when you retired was that a hard decision for you, or was it something where you're just like, "Oh, it's time now," or what was that process?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got to the point where my body was fighting back. Like and not that I've been doing this for very long, but I have issues with my back, and that it leads into issues with my hips and then my knees. And I'm like, do I want to be in a wheelchair when I'm 65? I don't think so. So I had to figure out what is more important to me. So I think my health is more important and my mobility in the long run, right? But I mean, there are ways around that too, Ryan.
Oh,
There are things you
I,
can do
I mean,
to
and that's exactly how my brother lost his baseball career too. He was a catcher in the minor leagues, and a doctor told him because his knees were always messed up just from being a catcher. And a doctor told him was like, if you ever want to like be able to like go on walks with kids or anything like with your future kids or anything like that, it's like you need to stop playing like right now. So I think yeah, he
right.
was around how old I am right now. He's only like 2 years older than me, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's.
those things are hard on your body. I mean, I never had to do an hour and a half of cardio, but even a half an hour at this point is hard on my body. Unless it's rowing, then it's okay.
I went on one walk one night where I started off at like 10 o'clock and I didn't get home until like 3 in the morning. And
Did
and
you get lost?
oh my god, it was like I think it was like 15 and a half miles that I walked or something like that. And I
Oh
did
my
it was like
gosh.
27,000 steps I think it was, or no, it was either 27 or 28, but yeah, my legs the blisters are still healing from that. So that was like a month and a half
I
ago,
would have
so
to have called an Uber. I've been
oh.
like, you know what? I'm never gonna walk back.
It was one of those things where like if you get like upset or whatever and then you have like that extra added strength like I have with some of my workouts where like if I'm angry then I go and work out and then it's like you can just do whatever. I mean, just with that adrenaline, that was a thing for me. And
Yeah.
then it wore off by about 1:30, and then it got to the point where I took my shoes off and I was walking in my socks for like the last half hour ride because my blisters were so big that like walking in my shoes was like bad. So then I like yeah, it was a difficult day the next morning. The next morning they didn't even hurt. I just couldn't like yeah, it was
You
it
must have been dealing with something to have gone that far.
oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you about that when we stop recording the podcast.
Okay.
I don't want to get
Okay.
into it on the podcast. But yeah, so it was absolutely insane. But has your you know like I was saying before, I mean, like I identified myself as a baseball player, and then obviously when you're a bodybuilder, you identify yourself as a bodybuilder. What has that been like? Especially trying to find an identity. That's what got me into the working out more seriously when I wasn't a baseball player because I had more free time to do stuff. Have you been trying to find like a new identity in something else now that you have a little bit more free time?
Well, I mean, I think that's pretty natural, right? I mean, I want to be able to kind of pay it forward. And unfortunately, I have a job that is keeps me sitting at my desk for like 10 or 12 hours a day. It's horrible. But I still get up and go to the gym in the morning and do my thing. Yeah, it is
You
something
just really got
different.
to do your dips on your chair. That's like the only thing that you can really do, basically.
Yeah, I have alarms set to,
Yeah.
stretch or do, could do a couple pull-ups and something like that just to, keep moving during the day because I sit in this chair so long that you don't realize it.
It is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, I wish like when we went to the Twins game, there was a bar at the place where it was only standing up, and I was like, I wish there was more places were like that though, where you just stood up and stuff. So it really does, make
Yeah,
the
I considered getting one of those desks that you can stand. My
yeah.
boyfriend has one and he's ADD though, so he stands most of the day
Oh
and
yeah.
has little fidget things and stuff like that. So
Oh, you mean fidget spinners?
exactly like that stuff.
I have like 10
Yeah.
of those things. I've opened half of them, and then the other ones, yeah. I try to imagine me having to sit in a chair for 8 hours in elementary and middle school. It was not a fun sight. So
Yeah, well, now
I
teachers let you stand up if you need to. It's like, yeah, it's different.
not
Anyway,
not like the good old days, as I know, but I know
yeah,
but
your
yeah,
seatbelt.
yeah. It's just yeah. I mean, I've had teachers on too with COVID, and how has your work been handling COVID now? Because I'm not gonna lie, I literally just got my first shot today. But how have you been dealing with this with work? Because like, I mean, obviously you're gonna be working from home, but has there been
Yeah,
anything else that you've had from work? Because like that's what my parents do now. But has it affected you work wise any other way than just working from home?
kind of. Yeah, I mean, I used to get out and travel and be in front of my customers, and now I'm just sitting and doing Zoom meetings all day long. My company did pay everybody $50 to be vaccinated, so I took care of that right away. I did that, just the one shot deal that Johnson and Johnson won. So, and I didn't really. Everyone was complaining like, "Oh, I felt sick," blah blah blah. I think my arm hurt a little bit for a couple hours, and
That's every shot too, and I wanted to get the Johnson & Johnson, but the place that I went to only had the Pfizer, so I was like, oh okay, I'll come back in 2 weeks anyway. But yeah, so
oh, is
yeah,
that what it is? You get the second one in 2 weeks.
well they scheduled it me for 3 weeks now, so I don't know.
Oh,
They
okay.
said 2 weeks, but then they're like, come back August 16th, and I was like, that's not 2 weeks, and I was like, I just want to just get this over
Get
with.
it.
But then because I'd already had COVID last March or the year before March, so like the beginning of the pandemic,
Oh,
they're like, oh, you might get sick like tonight or something like that. But they said it's probably long enough where you won't get it. But like, so yeah, who knows? I already have. That's why again I got my ice cream that I'll be at least be able to have. Then if I get like a fever
that's
tonight or
right.
something like that. So yeah, and when I figured,
Well,
I was like, thank God thank God I'm having run at 6, not like 8 o'clock or something like that. Because then who knows where I'm gonna
right.
be at. So
You have to have that pumpkin pie ice cream.
yeah, don't even. I mean, I don't even want to mention that anymore, just because I'm gonna start to drool and it's gonna be embarrassing, and I don't want. I do not want to do that on the podcast. But yeah, it's just with all this stuff, and with you retiring and stuff. Has this really helped you, sort of see like the bigger picture on things? Because that's one thing that I really saw too after my baseball was over, is that you really see the big picture on things.
Yeah, I mean, like what's important, right? What are your priorities now that I don't have this sort of narcissistic priority? I can focus more on my family and my job and my boyfriend and stuff like that. So, it definitely is big picture. But then things get dragged into the big picture and screw it up, right? Like a really good friend of mine, she's switched over from bikini to wellness, competed in Puerto Rico, and won, and now she's going to the Olympia. So I'm like, I mean, we met during my first show in 2017, and now she's going to step on that Olympia stage, and I'm so proud of her. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to be that, not really that, but that's kind of success. But Who knows?
I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest. When I stopped working out, as much as I did in college, just because I had all that free time, I kind of got a little bit mad at myself at first. Not because I wasn't working out as much, but because I was like, wow, I spent so much time doing this and stuff like that. It was kind of one of those things where you're just like, but then you realize that like it was for the best and you really enjoyed it. So like with bodybuilding, I could imagine some people would just be like, oh wow, like, and was it weird now to like have so much more free time that you can like hang out with people and talk to people? Because I can remember even in college too, all the times, oh, I can't go out with you tonight. I got to go to the gym. And then just when you finally have that freedom, it just feels weird at first. For me, at least, it did.
Yeah, you kind of feel guilty about it a little bit, right? Like I feel like I should be getting up at 3:45 in the morning and eating like certain things or whatever, but I can sleep in if I want to. It it does feel weird, but it feels hella good too.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get any sleep at all last night. You can probably tell from the bags underneath my eyes, but so I'm gonna probably be dead by around 10 o'clock, which is nice. But before that, yeah, just with the COVID messed up my sleep schedule more than anything that I've ever dealt. The thing that messed it up the worst was daylight savings time. Every year that really messes me up when they said it when all of a sudden they put it an hour ahead, and it's just like no, like I'm used to
I
going to
know
bed.
that hour is definitely the spring one when you
Yeah.
spring ahead. Yeah, that definitely messes me up
I'm
for
just
a
like,
good
yeah, I'm just used to going to
week.
bed at like 1 o'clock, and then all of a sudden it's like 2 o'clock already, and you're like, Jesus. And then next thing you know, you're like, if you can't go to bed, then it's like already like 3 a.m., and you're like, oh my God, this is, yeah. So
Yeah,
that
I'm
messes
gonna
me up.
pay the price on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it got to a point where I was going to bed at like 5 a.m. a couple of nights in a row. But yeah, ugh. Yeah, that was bad. But with your training too, have you, obviously you're not training, as hard, but are you still doing, some of the basic stuff that you did in bodybuilding?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I, I have a little routine that I kind of follow now. What irritates me is I work hard when I'm in the gym. I work hard, and then like now that it's summer and I can wear sleeveless things, and I'll go to Costco or whatever, and I'll hear, "Oh, you look really fit," and I want to hear, "Damn girl, you're buff." Like like, or do you work out? And I'm like, does it? No, I mean, it's not just genetically like this. I mean, I bust my ass. So it's just dealing with that kind of transition is weird.
Well, and before we're talking about how you're notorious for never training arms, have you finally gotten on the arm bandwagon now that you don't have to worry about competing?
I do a little bit of arms. I have some like
Yeah, she's got them. Yeah,
I got some pretty good biceps.
she's always had nice guns. So yeah, she
Yeah,
doesn't need to
not too bad.
worry about that
15
now.
inches. And
15
that's
inches, Jesus.
yeah.
That
That's what
is.
I always that is one thing that I might get like, "Oh my gosh, you have my dream arms." And they're like, "Oh, you should see my glutes." No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, and I dealt with that too as well when I wasn't as in
Yeah,
shape, and then people were just like, "Oh, do you work out?" And I was like, "Oh my God, if only you knew." So yeah,
I
uh,
know.
I
Yeah,
at least get that part, but yeah, just the people's perception really does change. But I mean,
it changed.
at least you're still getting people coming up and talking to you and stuff like that. So that's, I mean,
Yeah.
at least that's are you finding that clothing options are at least a little bit easier for you now though too?
Well, it's summertime, so
Yeah.
I pretty much just stay in clothes that I don't have to put my arms into. And plus, I'm over 50, so I get hot flashes and stuff like that. So I have to be cool. So so summer is better for me.
Do you find that doing your 9 to 5 job is easier now that you don't have to worry about like prep brain or any of that other stuff?
Well, trying to eat right, so I still have a little bit of right now a little bit of a regimented diet. But yeah, I have a refrigerator right next to me, so I can just go and grab something, a snack or something right out of there. It's awesome. Yeah, it's very relaxed.
And if I were to, ask you what in your entire bodybuilding career, what was do you think your favorite moment out of your entire journey, what would it be?
I think when if it wasn't meeting certain people that I really looked up to, then winning my pro card was pretty freaking amazing. You know, I think that would have been, but definitely a highlight. you know,
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's
and my posing coach was Sid Dillon, right? So she's Miss Figure Olympia. So meeting her and working with her was phenomenal, right?
oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've tried to get her on, and we'll see if we can get her on. But yeah, she's one of those where you just look at her and you're just like, okay, that's just not even fair, and just
It's I know.
everybody else back to the drawing board, basically. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is
Yeah,
just.
she actually lives right in this area
Oh
where I
wow.
yeah, she's a local.
Yeah, see, up here in Minnesota, we don't have that many. I think there's, like, I don't think there's that many professionals. I've talked to a couple of them, but yeah, not really in this area. So it's nice that you have a little, scene down there. But just with,
Yeah, for sure. Actually, the Chicago Pro was just in Atlanta last weekend.
oh wow,
They didn't even do it in Chicago. I'm not sure why, but I think we just
yeah.
have more relaxed.
Well, yeah. So when the Omaha Pro was, I was in Omaha the weekend before for 4th of July visiting my grandpa, and then I left like 2 days before the thing started. And I was like, maybe I could stay a little bit longer, but then I had to come back one of these days. I mean, they don't really have a Minnesota Pro Show, which I wish they did, because then I would go to it and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's
fun
really
to
the
see.
yeah.
They're fun to see.
Yeah, yeah. But so yeah, and I just with this whole journey that you've been in, and all the trials and tribulations that you've been in, with the mental mindset, is it been something that you think that you can carry just from the bodybuilding lifestyle into every single aspect of your life? Because I asked that question before, but now that you're like in that stage where you can really see if you can really take that mindset that you've gotten from bodybuilding and use it to impact your entire life in a positive way.
Well, I think, the discipline of it and, primarily the discipline of it, I think has been beneficial, right? I think that it definitely leaks into other aspects of your life. And I enjoyed that part. Like I liked to be on a schedule. Even when COVID hit and I had to, work from home. Initially, I was on a loose schedule thinking I can go into the gym at lunch or whatever. And that did not work for me. I had to stick to a schedule. Um, Otherwise, my whole day got out of whack. So that discipline definitely has helped overall in my life.
Oh yeah. And yeah, especially yeah, just that discipline alone is the one thing that I think impacts most. Just and with I mean, just like I've said a million times on this podcast, you can get through a prep, you can really get through anything in life. So I mean, it makes everything else really, really seem
Yeah,
a lot easier. But
the accountability,
oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
that
that
type
too.
of thing.
So
Definitely.
what are the goals that like you're setting right now? Because like obviously, like you said, you're getting ready for a vacation, but yeah, like without those goals, so is it just like mini stuff where it's just like, oh, I just want to do this in the gym today, or I just by the end of the week I want to do that? Is it more short term goals that you're now focusing on?
Well, I kind of have my eye on maybe, I mean, I know I'm retired, but I thought if I did one more show, because last year I sort of ended my season on a bad note. I got sick at the show and I didn't perform like I wanted to. And then I thought, well, that's because my body is just telling me I'm done, right? And then I started thinking maybe I shouldn't end on a bad note. So if I do one more show, it would be in October. So right now I'm just kind of seeing where my body will take me. And I figure by beginning of September or mid September, if I feel like I could possibly compete in that show, it's a master show, so they have 50 and over. And I would just do like that category. Then maybe I could do one more show.
I've heard this story many times before. You're gonna win that show, and then all of a sudden it's gonna be, oh, I gotta get back in. No, I've just there's one guest in particular I have on that every year she tells me that she's gonna retire, and then every year for the last 3 years she's then all of a sudden been like, oh, I'm actually doing this show now, just because you can't get rid of it. And so yeah, it's I mean, and that is great too, and yeah, like it gives you something. And let's be honest, in the fall there's not that much else to do anyway. So you have
I know. Yeah. Well, the season really shifted. I mean, it did start kind of early, but it's going all the way heavily into December this year. So, I mean, this show being in October, I think that it won't be. So, this is what I found is as the season goes on, these women competitors just get more and more buff and more lean, right? So, if you just join a show when the season's three-quarters of the way over, you ain't got a chance in hell of being competitive because these girls have been working for it for way longer. But maybe since the season is later, I thought, well, and I'm over 50, I could stand a chance. Well, we'll see.
Well, hey, yeah, you never know. And you mentioned like back problems and stuff, and I've struggled with back issues myself, being that when we're as tall as we are, back issues are a little bit more frequently. How do you circumvent those? Because I've struggled with that as well, and like you said, there's other ways to do it. So, how have you been able to, get around those injuries?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I just went to a chiropractor last week thinking, I can see when I wear my belt that my hips are crooked. So I thought I just need my legs pulled a little bit and things will be all worked out. And she took x-rays, which normally the chiropractor doesn't do, and found two scoliosi, two like pretty wicked ones in my opinion. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do there, but I've been doing a lot more stretching, before and after my workouts, rolling, um, just being more in tune to certain lifts. I won't do really heavy lifts. I might just do more. I think you and I talked about this, more time under tension, or, I'll do three partials, then one full rep, or, certain things that will alleviate those kinds of potential injuries in my mind.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I did, yeah, time under tension has worked for me as well when it comes to just with the injury aspect. And, I'm one of those people where I'm an idiot when it comes to actually recognizing the difference between pain and injury. So I've had a few times where, you realize way too late that's like, oh, this was actually an injury. It wasn't just me being extra sore or anything like that. So that's one thing
You're
that I think.
totally right. There is a difference between, yeah, just pain, like working the muscle, and injury. So,
I'll give my analogy of when I hurt my arm, which is why I didn't play college baseball. Was there's a big difference between being able to throw a baseball, and I think my pitch before my elbow got all messed up was like at like 91 miles per hour. The very next pitch was at 58. So that there's a little
oh,
bit of a difference between pain and injury than
yeah,
than than, than there on that. That's when I kind of knew I was like, oh yeah, there's something actually really wrong now. So
yeah. And when it's
yeah.
measurable like that, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I totally get what you're saying. There are those times too, especially even after those lifts where you might not even feel that, but then the very next morning you're like, oh my god, I did something really, really bad in the gym
Yeah,
yesterday.
that's
But
right. Well, and since I go to the gym so early in the morning, I feel it like at the end of the workday. That's why I try to stretch during the day instead of just sitting here, just move around a little bit. My boyfriend stays with me and he has a dog. So getting out to walk the dog or something like that. So
what kind of dog does he have?
an English bulldog. And his name is Bro.
Bro?
Yeah,
Oh god.
that's right. It's perfect.
No, it's a yeah, that is a good dog name. And hey, that yeah, no, that is awesome. Ours is Gracie and she's just a little Cavachon dog, so your bulldog would probably eat it
Oh,
for
nice.
breakfast. But yeah, and then I mean, just looking forward to you know with the next couple of months. So you said you're probably gonna wait until what, like September, to finally decide if you want to do this show or not.
Yeah, I think by mid-September I could, because if I feel good by that period of time, by mid-September, the show is October 22nd. It's in Reno. It's that Legion Sports Fest, so a big one. I think by then I'd be able to, kind of tell if I would be ready. So that's what I'm working toward. I mean, I'm going on vacation next week. I'm going to the Dominican Republic, and I'm going to eat and relax and not stress about anything. I mean, I'll probably have to go to the gym a little bit because I'll feel guilty if I don't, especially if I eat a lot. But yeah, I figure by then I'll know if I'm ready.
Is the Dominican Republic, was that just a special choice for you guys, or was it just some you just always wanted to go there? Or why the Dominican Republic?
I really wanted to go to some place that obviously I've never been. Um, and I just kind of searched around, and my boyfriend and I just picked, like, you pick five that you really want to go to, and I'll pick five that I really want to go to. And that one was kind of on both of our lists. So we just picked an all inclusive there, and it's also over his birthday, so it'll be perfect.
Yeah, that
Hopefully.
does sound perfect. And I have seen on your Instagram before that you have a lot of cabin fun, and I'm a cabin freak. So what is your favorite activity to do when you go up to the cabin?
Well, it's actually not we actually do like hardcore camping. We cook our food on a fire and we haul of all of our wood, and it's really very granola primitive, I guess they call it. we just recently got a blow up kayak, so we're trying to figure out fishing. So it's everything is fun. Everything is a process. I mean, it could take hours to make breakfast. You know what I mean? Like gathering the wood and starting the fire and all that stuff. So it's everything is an activity, and that's really for me. That's fun.
For me, jet ski, that's all that matters. Jet ski. I don't care.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
care about anything else. As long as they have a jet ski there, I'm fine. And I've
You
al-
just want to go fast.
oh, I've said it's impossible to ever be sat on a jet ski. Like it's literally impossible. Like if anyone, I mean,
You're right. You're right.
it's not. Yeah, I just fill her up and then spend the whole day. I did have one problem though, where I one time when I drove one this last like a couple months ago at my uncle's cabin, I kept my right side in the sun too long, so I got a big sunburn on like my entire right side, but my left side was perfectly fine because that's where I would take my turns, and then the water would get all on my skin, so I
Oh, sure.
wouldn't
That
get burned. So yeah, I did
So we
learn
do
that the
that
hard way.
hip camp.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard of it? Hip camp?
hip camp.
It's like the Airbnb of camping. So it could be a campsite on someone's property on a lake or something like that. So it's not just a regular campground. It's kind of cool. Look it up.
Yeah, I will I'll definitely. Well, yeah, especially being in Minnesota, there's probably about 1,000 of them around here. So
Oh, there has
yeah,
to be. Yeah.
yeah, I will definitely
I don't know
look
if
into.
jet skiing though with a hip camp, but maybe do you have your own jet ski?
Well, my uncle does, and I don't care.
Okay.
I'll steal it. I don't care. I even told him I was like, I don't care if you just wake up one morning, it's not there. You know who took it, and just
That's right.
I told him just give me the weekend, then you can call the cops on me. Just give me the weekend at least to enjoy it. So, but
Yeah,
no,
good
yeah,
for you.
and then they also have, I don't know, water skiing. I'm fine with. I've done that a couple times. I used to go tubing all the time, but then I had a crazy neighbor of mine. Whenever we go up to his cabin, he would be the one where he would make those such a sharp turns that your tube would actually go in front of the boat. Like he would curve it
Oh,
around so much that like you would almost hit the boat sometimes. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to die this way. It's fun and all and stuff like
no.
that, but it's like, dude, what is wrong with you? So that's when I started sort of my planning for tubing really went down the window. But
Yeah, I thought when you were saying tubing that it would, I didn't know it was pulled behind the boat. That makes
oh yeah.
sense. I thought it would be like more like water rafting or something like that.
Oh no, yeah. I think it's just a Minnesota thing. I don't know that we call it tubing. Just like how
I
just
know what
like
you're
how you
talking about.
Wisconsinites would call it the bubbler when it's like that's the stupidest name ever. It's a
I
water
still call it a
it's a
bubbler.
drinking fountain, basically. Just
I
like
know.
that.
It's
Yeah,
a bubbler.
the first time I heard that, I was like, "What are you guys talking about?" But
Right. Where am I right
where
now?
am I right now? But yeah, I mean that is just so awesome. And like I
Yeah.
ask you this every single time. If we were to talk to you a year from today, where'd you like to be at just in your overall life? What are some goals that you'd like to have achieved?
I just mentioned before earlier in our conversation that I would really like to kind of pay it forward, like take some of the things that I've learned. I mean, I'm not a trainer and I'm not a dietitian or anything like that, but I could do something. Like I think I could, maybe work with my gym and teach some posing classes or something like that. I mean, when I was in college, I worked at a modeling agency and taught girls how to walk, right? So I know how to do posing, and that is really key, right, to your whole package, right? It's showing how your muscles look on the stage, the right angles, the presentation altogether is key. So I think that that would be something that I can do, or I could possibly work to get my um, like a personal trainer certification or something like that. I just have to. My job just has to calm down a little bit. Things are crazy. I mean, I just sling uniforms during the day. That's what I do. But with all this craziness going on in the world, with imports being so delayed and all this crap, the days are super long. But it will get there, Ryan. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, I'm just saying, welcome to my world with you having your Zoom calls all the time. That's been this entire podcast. So you've learned my way that really anything that can go wrong has gone wrong basically through this podcast. So there's been so many times where I just record it and then the very next day I look at it and I was like, oh my God, I wish I would have noticed that when I was doing that or something. Yeah, yeah. So it's always interesting when you're relying on technology for anything. I'll just leave it at that really
That is very true. Yep.
for everyone out there. But yeah, that is just awesome. And again,
Yeah.
Laurie, I mean, we cannot thank you enough for coming back on and sharing your journey with us. And I honestly, I hope you do the show in October. And if you do, love to have you on and talk about that because, yeah, I mean, you'll always be one of my favorite guests to have on just because you're just so easy to talk to, and you're
Oh,
also a
thank you.
Midwesterner, so you don't have. It's not like some of these California people that I have to talk to all the time. We're just like,
I
oh my
think that the
god.
Midwest thing is definitely key, right? I think Midwest people are just generally easier to talk to. I don't know what
They
it is.
they live,
Just
but
approachable.
they don't have an agenda too. Like 99% of the time, like people from other areas of the country do, which I'm not going to name names and stuff like that. But like
I know.
some people do stuff just because they think it'll make them successful or something like that. Where people from the Midwest, if you just want to have a talk with them, they'll just be like, yeah, sure. And
Yeah,
their
chill
BS meter
together.
is a lot lower than it is for than people from
Yeah, it,
California and stuff like that.
it's not like we don't notice BS. We're just not
We're too polite to point it out though, so that's the
right.
thing. Yeah, we'll go
Unless
along
you
with it. Yeah, yeah.
cough under your breath about it.
Well, yeah. But no, yeah. So yeah, anytime that really happens, I'm really grateful. But is there anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap things up?
You know, I g- once I once put my name in YouTube
Yeah.
and, and pulled up. There's a lot of stuff actually out there, but I saw that people had taken little clips from your podcast
Yes.
and posted them up there. People, I've seen like little montages of things, and I'm like, who has the time to do this? Go out and find stuff, and who even cares about it?
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm a little bit famous just by
Well,
being on your show.
hey, I'm glad for that. Literally almost every week I'll at least get one or two copyright claims. They'll show up on my thing and be like, "Oh, we found the same results from your podcast on another one." Well, they'll just have like they'll just like include clips and stuff like that. And then
Yeah,
yeah, every single time. And then it depends. Like if it's a very successful video, then I'm gonna copyright it because I don't want them to take the views away from me. But if it's something that only
yeah,
has a couple views, then I'll be like, yeah, just let them have it. But yeah,
yeah. I bet
yeah.
that is annoying for you. Yeah, I mean, you're the one that's working for it.
Oh my god, yeah. And when I was young though too, I used to do like baseball and like hockey highlights where I'd put up together, and then I'd get copyright, within like an hour of publishing it because the NHL or the MLB would just be like, yeah, you can't do
Uh,
that.
uh,
So I totally understand that too. Where it's just like I'm just trying to have like make a compilation and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's
yeah,
that's really what got me into that. So yeah, it really I've had guests come on too, and they're like, you do realize that there's like 10 other videos of me other than just your podcast. I was like, I know, I can't do anything about it.
yeah,
It's just once you release it onto the wire, it just goes. It takes
yeah.
off, but
It just goes viral.
just goes viral. And yeah, and well, anything to really help out, especially the sport of bodybuilding and anything like that, I'm more than happy to do. And again, you guys, we cannot thank Laurie enough for coming back on and talking to us again, and look forward to having her on again a year from now. And good God,
Yeah.
who knows where we'll be at a year from now? If this next year is anything like this last year, who knows? So
I know. I was really looking forward to 2020 being over, and I think everybody was, right?
mhm.
And 2021 is going to be the new. Everything's going to be normal again. It's just as jacked up. I think you just don't have to wear a mask everywhere.
Yeah, I only had to wear a mask today when I went to go get the shot because then obviously with the whole
Oh,
thing. But yeah, I haven't worn a mask otherwise since like June or no, like late May, because I think that's when Minnesota finally lifted everything. We were like one of the last states to do that, so that was
okay.
interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, another benefit about living in Minnesota, which I won't get into that. But again, you guys, I'll leave a link to Laurie's Instagram page down below. Like always, you will be inspired. Get in shape and stop eating those Twinkies. And the moment you get your personal training certificate, if you do, let me know and I'll plug it too. Because everyone just taking one look at her, I'd be like, okay, if I'm in the area, I'd be like, okay, she needs to be my trainer then. Because if I can look, since I'm like she said, I'm not saying this. She said this. I'm half her age. I said if I could look, half as good as she does, then at half her age, that'd be fine with me. But again, you guys, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks for having me.